Hello, this is Haleigh Everts reporting. That's what I feel like. Because I have lots of notes written down. Oh, you can't see. Anyway, there are a lot of notes written down here because I've been motivated today to talk about mostly home birth, why I choose to do home births, but also just why we choose more natural things. I'm gonna talk about medicine, doctors. I'm not gonna touch on vaccinations really. Ireland is sitting right next to me eating some green beans for lunch. So that's why I'm coming to you from my kitchen. I got all done up today. Look at me wearing all this dark eye makeup for the first time in who knows how long. I'm going for it today. So I posted on my Instagram story and let you guys know that I was gonna be filming this video. I asked you to send me your questions about home birth and natural things. So I've got a long list of questions to answer. Let's jump into it. First, I'm just gonna briefly touch on overall why we're natural minded with health. Obviously, it's pretty well known that chiropractors tend to be more natural and more trusting of our body's abilities to heal and handle the problems that come at us. So CJ obviously is very naturally minded and he grew up that way himself actually. His dad's a chiropractor and CJ was born at home with a midwife. I was not raised that way. I was born in a hospital. I was born getting vaccinated. I was born going to the doctor for all my checkups. My dad does not like doctors. My dad tries to avoid going to a doctor at all costs. If he has to go to the dentist and get some work done, he doesn't even want to get Novocaine. He really tries hard not to take things. But I feel like we all kind of grow up in this normal world where we go to the doctor every 6 months or a year for checkups. We get routine vaccinations. If you don't feel good, you go to the doctor to get checked out. The doctor will tell you what's wrong with you and will tell you, here's some medicine to fix it, and you take the medicine. I feel like that's just what's normal. So that's pretty much what I was raised to do. You want blueberries?
Blueberries.
All right, we're gonna have to get some blueberries. So it wasn't until I became best friends with my friend Megan, and it was her brother who baptized me when I was 15. So if you've read my book, then you know a little bit about that story already. But it was actually her family that introduced me to this whole world of natural things. I didn't even know that whole wheat pasta existed until them. And I didn't know that you could choose not to get vaccinated or not to take medicine, or that there were other things that you could do to treat anything, really. So they opened my world to the idea of home births and whatnot. And so after learning a little bit from them, obviously I was young, I was a teenager. I took in what they said, but I didn't really do my own research until then when I went to college and I really wanted to stand firm in an opinion on things. And that's when I did more research about vaccines and medicine and whatnot. So I did already have a background into more natural things before I met CJ. This is not something that he believes that he pushed on to me. It was actually the very first night when we talked on the phone for the very first time and we talked about everything under the sun. This was a huge, huge selling point for us, because it's so funny now for me to look back and think about all the guys who I thought I could potentially marry, and these big, big things that affect how you raise your family and the decisions you make. These guys and I did not see eye to eye. These are big things that you can't really compromise on. So it was a huge selling point for both of us that we both felt the same way about medicine and our bodies and wanting to do home birth and vaccines and all of that. That's kind of a little bit of background. Now that CJ's in chiropractic school, and as we've gotten older and obviously have a kid and we have done a little bit more research and studied more things, now we have an even more informed opinion. So basically what our opinion is that there's definitely a place and a purpose for doctors and medicine and surgery, but that our bodies really are amazing and capable of doing so much on their own, and that there are other things you can use that are more natural, that have less negative side effects than some medicine sometimes. Now, of course, sometimes things are really necessary. There's nothing else that's gonna fix it. If you read my book, then you know about Ireland's story about her surgery that she needed to have. That was super, super crazy. not expected at all, but she did need to have surgery for an infection that got into her bloodstream and basically just stuck in her ankle joint. It was a super bad infection. She needed to be on antibiotics for like 4 weeks, which we did not want, okay? We hate antibiotics because we are firm believers in having like a good microbiota in your gut and how important gut health is. And when you kill not only the bad bacteria that's causing the problem, but the good bacteria, that really does lead to a lot of problems. And it's really hard to put that bacteria back into your body. Probiotics and prebiotics don't put all of that bacteria back. So we're actually very welcoming of bacteria. Like, we don't wash our hands all the time. I don't use soap to clean our dishes and to wash my hands very often. We want her to touch things and be exposed to things because we want that bacteria. We want to build up an immune system and we want good bacteria in our bodies. Obviously, there are some things that are just too serious that the consequences would be way worse. So in Ireland's case, if she did not get this infection taken care of, it would have gone septic. Her organs would have started to shut down. It would have been really bad. When we first got married, I don't know if any of you have had this happen, but you know, when you are intimate with each other for the first time, you're introducing some bacteria into your body, and I got a bacterial infection down there, so I had to go on antibiotics. It's not like an STD or anything. It's just called like vaginal bacteriosis or something like that. And it can lead to infertility if you don't treat it. So I had to go on antibiotics. But typically what we do if we are presented with a fever, for any of us, if we're not feeling good, runny nose, sore throat, a cough, fever, whatever, we want the fever to run its course. Fevers are good. It means your body is fighting something. It's doing its job. We do not want to make that fever go away because it's a good thing. So we do not use ibuprofen, Tylenol, Advil at all. Ireland has never ever had those, whether she's been teething, whether she's had a runny nose, even when she did have that fever because of that infection, we did not treat it with anything. For one, I don't think pain is bad. Call me a terrible parent, but I don't take something when I'm in pain. I can deal with it, so can she. You don't die from pain, which I'll get into later. So to treat a fever, we obviously tons and tons of fluids, and we actually put her in a cool bath, not like freezing cold. But if it gets too high, you know, there is a danger zone. If it's like above 103, that's when we're a little more worried. And so that's when we'll really try to take care of it. And if it is high and it stays high consistently, if it gets up to like 104, 105, and we can't get it to stay down, if it just keeps, you know, bouncing back up, then of course we'll go to the emergency room, because especially after that scare with the infection, better safe than sorry. But at the hospital, they do of course offer Tylenol and say, oh, it'll make her more comfortable, and we say no. So we don't have any sort of treatment for pain or anything at home, which is a question that I was asked about the home birth. And no, I didn't take anything for the pain for that either. Another question just leading up into pregnancy and giving birth is, what do I think about IUDs and was I on birth control? So I was on a hormonal birth control pill for years before I met CJ. I got on it just to stop my periods because they were so miserable. Like, I don't know if it's because I have really low blood pressure regularly or what, but my whole legs would basically go numb. Like, I couldn't even stand up. So if I was trying to go to school or work, like, I don't know what it was, but it was just so painful in my legs that I couldn't function when I had my period. So I got on birth control to eliminate my periods. I knew it wasn't great for you, but I was basically just selfish and desperate to not have a period. Same thing with IUDs. I actually, right when I met CJ, did have an appointment to go get an IUD put in, and it didn't work. It was more excruciating to try to get that IUD put in than giving birth, in my opinion. And CJ was really against it. We had only been dating literally for like 2 days, and he was like, no, they're not good for you. But I wanted one anyway so that I wouldn't have to take the pill every day. And it didn't work, so we took that as a sign. And I honestly haven't done any research into IUDs. I just know that whatever CJ knows about them and has learned or studied, he says they're not good. So I've never gotten one and looked more into it. I just trust what he says. Obviously, after giving birth and resuming sexual activity, I had the option to do some sort of birth control, but we decided not to, especially while breastfeeding. And even after I finished breastfeeding, There have just been so many links from hormonal birth control to uterine cancer, breast cancer. It's just not good for you, and it's definitely not worth the risk. I would much rather deal with the crappy periods than risk getting cancer. So no more birth control for us. We just used condoms and pull out. Okay, so let's go into home birth now. This is, I think, what most people want to hear about. How much does it cost? In Arizona, with the midwife I used there, I believe it costs $3,500, and that covers all of your prenatal care, so all of your monthly and then weekly visits, and then the actual birth and postpartum visits as well. All of that is covered. It's called a global fee. Now, if you want the tub, then there is a fee for that. Some midwives include that, others don't. I also have a negative RH factor. My blood type is A negative, so I need to get 2 shots, one while I'm pregnant and one right after giving birth, in order for my body to not reject the baby, because CJ has a positive blood type. So if the baby has a positive blood type and I have a negative blood type, and for some reason if our blood intermixes, my body could see the baby as an invader and it will attack the baby and try to abort. So I have to prevent that from happening. So that is an extra fee. That's like an extra $100 for that shot. So we just did monthly payments up until the point where I was 36 weeks, and then it was all paid off. Here, our situation is very, very different because we are not working. And so looking into midwives here, it was more expensive. They were all about $4,500, so $1,000 more. And that was gonna be really hard for us to come up with, especially because we are putting money away saving for when we move back to Arizona. We know that's gonna be quite an expensive move. So we talked about it and we looked into birth centers just because insurance would have covered a hospital birth in full. So we talked about it, and there's just, I can't put a price on my family and on my birth experience, especially after having such a magical, amazing home birth with Ireland. Like I could never settle for anything less. Now, that's not to say that other people don't have magical experiences in the hospital, because birth in itself, whether it's a C-section, whether it's vaginal, whether it's medicated, whether it's not, you know, bringing a baby into this world is magical. But everything about my experience was so amazing that I was not willing to settle for anything different. So it was worth the cost to us if we needed to come up with it, but we actually were able to find a way to work with a specific midwife who is so amazing. I'm so grateful that she's willing to work with us this time, and she gets paid such a small amount by insurance, and she was willing to accept that. So we're only gonna have to pay for the tub and the shots, and it's gonna be about $300 this time. So we're really, really lucky that insurance is actually gonna cover the home birth this time. Was I scared? I had no fears whatsoever about pregnancy or giving birth when I was pregnant with Ireland. I've touched on this a little bit in my pregnancy videos, but like miscarriages, birth defects, complications, that was never on my mind. I never once was afraid of the pain of giving birth, afraid of complications, nothing. I just trusted my body so much. I just had such a positive mindset that like she was okay, I was gonna be okay, and that this is what we were meant to do. I felt very strongly that this was how we were supposed to do things. I had complete faith and trust in my midwife. My midwife in Arizona, I knew so many people who used her. CJ's sister used her. So I really, really trusted her, and I'm just gonna add that right now. If you are even slightly interested in learning more about home births, contact a midwife and interview them. I have had a lot of women message me and say, oh, I wish I could do a home birth, but my husband would never hop on board. Just go interview one, and she will answer all your questions and put all your fears to rest, I promise you. So I'll add that in here too. Just because I'm doing a home birth does not mean it is unassisted. We are not doing it just ourselves. So there's not a nurse, but there is a nurse midwife, certified midwife. And my midwife also happens to be a naturopathic doctor and a nurse. So she is very, very experienced, very well certified and knowledgeable. So I am not afraid or worried at all. I have complete trust and faith in her, and it will not just be us. We will not be alone. But yeah, I just wasn't afraid of anything. I just trusted my body. And this time, I've had more fears about the baby, and I still am leading up to the anatomy scan that we have in 2 weeks. I am scared that, you know, something could be wrong with him, but either way, I know that won't affect my birthing experience unless he has like a really big issue and would need immediate medical treatment, and we would know that beforehand. But overall, that doesn't have to really do with the home birth. I still trust my body, and especially after doing it once before, I know for sure that my body can do it again. No problem. Obviously, every pregnancy is different, every birth is different, but I have complete trust and faith in my body. I know women have been giving birth in the woods for thousands and thousands of years, so I can do it. You do not die from pain. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, that is a huge pet peeve of mine when women are sharing their birth experiences and they say, I can't do it, I'm gonna die, I can't handle it. No one dies from pain. It's over. Once the baby's out, it's over. You don't die from pain. To say you can't do it, it's not true. You can do it. So like, I never even put that thought in my mind that I couldn't do it, that the pain would be too much. That just was never a thought to me. I knew my body could handle it. I knew I wouldn't die from the pain, no matter how much it sucked. I'd get through it and I'd have a baby and it'd be worth it. Going along with the idea that you should interview a midwife to learn more about home birth and ask your questions, I can't tell you exactly what a midwife would do under every single specific circumstance. Like, I got a couple questions about what about a cord wrapped around the neck, or what about this, or what about that? And I can't tell you what a midwife would do because I'm not a midwife. I don't have that training. But I do know that midwives come to the birth with oxygen, with stitches, with the ability to stop the bleeding. I can't remember what it's called that does that. But obviously they know CPR, they know how to resuscitate a baby, they know how to help me to stop bleeding. They have tools with them, as well as their own knowledge and experience and training in order to know how to handle these situations. Probably one of the most popular questions I was asked was, what if no one knows what to do? What happens in an emergency? What if baby needs help? What if something goes wrong? What if there are complications? Seriously, these midwives are so skilled and talented and experienced. Like, you don't just get to become a midwife. You have to attend, I don't even know how many births, like it's like over 100. So you have to see a lot of different situations and experiences in order to even become a midwife, let alone once you are a midwife and you have 20 plus years of experience assisting women and giving birth to, you know, probably 100 births a year. So it's a lot of experience they have. They know what to do well beforehand. They are able to assess the situation and know if something looks like it's not right, if things look like it could be a little dangerous, they're gonna tell you, you need to go to the hospital. I can't really reject that. And who would? The only thing that I honestly would hate is if she told me, it looks like you're gonna need to have a C-section. And I'm just gonna add in right now, C-sections are so rare, they're so unnecessary, and they are performed way more often than they should be. So that's one of the huge reasons why I do not want to be in a hospital, because I do not want someone's BS trying to scare a mother into saying, oh, you're at risk, your baby's at risk, so you need a C-section. No, I hate that crap, and it happens way too often. So that would be the only thing that would upset me, is if my midwife told me that I would need that. I'd be so brokenhearted. But I trust my midwife. I know that she has the skill and the knowledge necessary to do what she needs to do, and if we need to go to a hospital, she will tell me. Our hospital is like 2 exits up the freeway, and we live right off the freeway right now. So I know it's not far away. It's actually a really good hospital that's really close by. Plus there's also emergency, ambulances that could come. So I'm not worried about the timing. I know the midwife would have what she needs in order to keep me and keep baby okay until we could get to the hospital, or until the ambulance could come to me. Did I ever think home birth was a mistake? No, never. The only thing I felt was in a moment, literally one moment before I got in the water for the birth, I felt that I understood why people wanted an epidural. And I actually was very grateful that I was not at a hospital, because I probably would have been tempted to get one. But that's the only thing I have ever, even for a second, thought about. Otherwise, no, the whole time I knew this was great, and it was so comfortable and so amazing to be at home. The other thing that sucked was the time where I was in active labor before I got in the water, and that honestly was only maybe 30 minutes or an hour. It didn't last very long, but when you're in pain, it seems like a long time. Which leads me into my next question. Why water birth? Why tubs? Am I doing that again? It was so amazing. Like literally the difference between before I was in the water and then when I got in the water, I turned into a different human being. And I'm really excited. I'm hoping to film this next birth because I can't wait to see what I was like, because just based on what I remember and based on what CJ's told me, I seriously was a different human. You guys know me, I'm very energetic, very talkative. The second I got in that water, I was a zombie. My eyes were closed, I was just swaying back and forth. Like hours passed and I had no clue. I think I got into the water around like 2-ish, maybe 1:30, and I gave birth at 6:30, a little before 6:30. So it was, you know, several hours that I was in the water and it just flew by. Like I had no idea what time it was when she pulled out the clock to be able to see what time the baby was born. I was like, really? It's 6:20? So it was just so relaxing. Because there's so much water, it stays warm. So no, it doesn't get cold. If anything, you can boil water and then add some to it if you do need it warmer. One of the other things that I loved about the water birth was like how clean it was. I've been to my sister-in-law's birth and it just seemed so much more uncomfortable to try to find a position like on the floor or in the bed, and like the blood and mucus and the stuff like leaking out of you. It just seems so messy. Like you need to have towels everywhere or bowls underneath you to catch things. And I mean, it just all went in the water. And then guess what? The water all gets thrown down the tub. Like it was just so much more clean. And she came out so clean. That's the first thing I remembered about giving birth was like, the first thought I had was, oh, she's so slippery. She's so clean. And I loved it. I do think the water helped a lot with the pain because it was just so comfortable compared to when I was laying on the bed. I felt paralyzed. I couldn't get comfortable, but in the water, I was able to move and it just felt so good. So I think it really did help a lot with the pain of labor and contractions. I don't know about pushing because I can't really compare because I don't know what it's like to push out a baby outside of the water, but it definitely was amazing. As far as other pain management, oils, nope. I do think oils are amazing. I just don't have the money to buy them, so I can't use them. And then breathing, I actually did not study any sort of... Daddy! I did not study like how to give birth. Like I didn't do hypnobirthing or take any birth classes at all. Like I said, I really just trusted my body. And my body did what it needed to on its own. Like I just got in the position that was comfortable for me, and my body just did it. Like when it was time to push the baby out, I just found a position and it just worked for my body. So same thing goes for pain management and breathing techniques. For whatever reason, when I was having a contraction, I would count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like I counted my breathing, and that just came to me on my own. I didn't like have anyone tell me to do that. So that helped me. That kind of helped the time of the contractions to pass by quickly. One of the other amazing things about midwives is that they take care of everything after the birth for you. So I just went into bed with my husband and my baby and I nursed and I just relaxed in my comfy, cozy bed while they start laundry, they empty the tub, they clean everything up. Like I gave birth at 6:23 and I think they didn't leave until like after 9 o'clock at night. Like they were there for hours just cleaning up, and of course they checked on the baby and checked on me, but they took care of everything. I just got to relax and eat my own food and go to the bathroom and do whatever I wanted to do because I was in my home. I wasn't hooked up to any wires. I didn't have like nurses or people bothering me coming in and out. Like I just was in my home and I was comfortable and I got to do what I wanted, and it was amazing. So no, I don't have the same midwife this time because I live in Washington now, not Arizona, but I still have complete faith and trust in her, and it still basically is the same exact process. Placenta capsules, I still have mine. I have a whole video about that actually, which I will link, and I'm not gonna do it again this time, but I still have mine from last time, so. All right, the next question was some things that are important to have at birth, like must-have things. So this probably is very different for people who have to leave their house and give birth in a hospital. You have to pack a bag. And honestly, for me, I like didn't use anything while I was in labor or giving birth, or like right after giving birth. I did not want to drink. I did not want to eat. I think I ate like a couple crackers and had a little bit of Gatorade when I was in early labor, just to give me like some energy to make it through the whole day, because I woke up at 2 a.m. in labor. And I did take a shower in the morning, but I didn't even get ready. Like me, I didn't put any makeup on, which I'm sure I will this time. I just wore my sports bra in the tub. I didn't have like a playlist I wanted. CJ was so sweet and tried to play One Direction for me to like lift my spirits. But no, I didn't have any music on. I didn't have like any specific tools or anything with me. And then right after I gave birth, I just went into bed. And I put diapers on. That is something that I highly recommend. Don't try to wear those giant, massive pads with a piece of your normal underwear. Like, for one, I don't really have normal underwear. I have like lingerie and I have garments. So I just wore women's diapers and they were amazing. I did use the belly bandit right away, and I think that helped a ton, especially with like my posture while breastfeeding, because it's so easy to like crouch down, but the belly bandit really helps to keep you like tall and just makes you feel better. And I just sent CJ to go get me food right away. So no, I can't think of like anything that I needed other than like nipple cream. I hate to say it because I'm sure that this is like the rudest thing I could possibly say, but every time I hear people share their birth experiences in a hospital or whatever, like all I can think about is how magical mine was. And I hear things that happen in hospital births and I'm like, that would not happen if you were at home. That would not happen if it was a midwife. Like, I just hate hearing about some things that doctors or nurses or just the hospitals do. And I know some people do have amazing doctors and nurses. I have heard of that. And I know some people love being in a hospital and having people to take care of you and you don't have to do anything. But I just do not like it. I do not want my baby being wheeled away from me. I want my baby always right with me. I don't want to be taken away. I don't want people coming in and disturbing us. That was something that I loved, that we were in our home, so we didn't have to have people over if we didn't want visitors yet. And it was just the midwife and her assistant. There weren't a whole crap ton of people there. It really does just feel like the most peaceful, natural thing to be in your own home, in your environment where you are like mentally and physically comfortable, and you set the rules, and what you want is what happens. There is no one pressuring you, no one bothering you. I felt like completely in control, and I just loved it, and I cannot wait to do it again, and I am so hopeful that I'll be able to film this next birth, and I hope that it's as equally amazing. So hopefully that answers your guys' questions. Again, every pregnancy, every birth is different, so I mean, I can't give you all the answers, but I do highly recommend interviewing a midwife if you have any questions about home birth and all that they're capable of doing. And I just have no worries. So I appreciate your concern, because I know a lot of you tell me you're very afraid for me, but I just feel so confident and so comfortable and so excited about giving birth, honestly. I hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye! Ireland wants to say bye.
Bye! Bye! Bye!
Blow kisses.
Mwah.
Say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.